All right, let's do this. We are going to go live with Joey from Grow Me from Melbourne, Grow Me Melbourne, and this is a little update and a little catch up because I just released a podcast the other day with Joey, and it was actually recorded last year, and we're just going to do a little update and see where she's at now because there's been some changes, some things taking place that we want to follow up with. So let's just add Joey in. To hear where she's what's been going on, what she's been doing, what has changed in the last little bit. So I'll just wait till here she is. Amazing. Here we are. Joey, we do it again.
As we are. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm so excited to do this because I'm going to look at hopefully the right spot because I'm looking at you, but probably not the camera. Yeah, just wanted to, as I said to you, have that little catch up because I had this audio of our conversation and it was just everything was so valid still, and all the things that took place in the conversation was like, oh my God, it's like a repeat of last year. So I was like, we have to get this out. But you've had so many things happen. So let's just chat about you and where you're at. So tell me a little bit, maybe just go back a tiny bit and just tell me, if anyone who's new here doesn't know what your product is, and then we'll refer them to the podcast to listen to everything else. But just that little update of what your product is and who you are.
So I'm Joe, founder of Stable Grow Me Melbourne, and we help people create stylish, productive, and inspiring study and workspaces at home with our products. So our bestseller is the Moody Board, just here, which is convenient, just behind me. Yeah, a beautiful pin-up magnetic writing board for you to just pin up things that matter to you. So yeah, it's to personalize your space.
Yeah.
So
amazing. And so, yeah, we talked on the podcast about, you joined my roadmap program a few years ago now. We're on the business couch a couple of years ago now, which again is coming up this week. So the timing was all just aligned. And yeah, you've had quite a lot go on, but tell me a little bit about the last year. What sort of, well, first of all, where you're living now, maybe.
yeah. So lots has happened in the past year since we chatted. I now live in New Zealand. The reason why I'm here is because I'm married to a surgeon. My husband has to relocate a lot for work.
Mm-hmm.
And so we move several times now. We've lived in Tasmania, Alice Springs, and this is our third move. So on the business side of things, I really needed to set things up so that I could be remote and things could be on. So yeah, that was, I guess, yeah, one thing that I'm proud of, that I get to do this and things run without me physically being there.
That's so amazing. And because that's a big thing for a product business, because obviously most of the time you are tied to where your product is or where it's shipped to or where you're sending it out to customers. So to be able to be in a different country to where your product is held is a huge development and a huge like achievement for you to be able to set all that up. Can you just talk maybe a tiny bit about what you did to do that and what it looks like?
So it didn't really matter where I physically was. Even when I was operating in Melbourne, I was still quite removed from the whole fulfillment side of things because we had set up the 3PL. And rewinding a little bit further back, the first thing that I fixed was the manufacturing when I sat with you on the couch. That was one of I did, and the first thing that I changed was there wasn't enough margin in my. As I loved, working directly with the manufacturers in Thomastown. You can just drive there and workshop together one-on-one. It was great, and we had a good relationship. But again, like if you're running a business and you're not able to, kind of cover your own, wages or something, and it's just not working. So it was one of the biggest changes that we did was just, getting uncomfortable and just just manufacture overseas. So that was the biggest change and the best change. Now we have some margin and we can scale. I guess in the past year when we first chatted, I was just about to receive my first container load of product. About 2 container loads, and now third container is arriving next month. So it's
scaled quite a bit. I love that. That's so good. Yes, Mel's just asking if we can get a replay of this. You 100% will, Mel. No problem. Yeah.
Hey, thank you. I really have to thank you for just kicking me in the butt that first time we sat together. You're the best catalog, and I never have a catalog.
Well, like, but hang on a second. Let's go back a minute. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really good. Yeah,
And
carry on. I'm just
that's what, just on the 3PL, like, you definitely couldn't do that if you didn't have the margin, right? Like, it's just not something that you can afford. And um, on the 3PL, just for those who don't sort of understand, I guess I have got a whole podcast on it, but 3PL is that third party warehousing. So essentially, you pay them a fee to hold your product, as well as you generally pay a fee to pick and pack the product, right? So you're paying them to do that. And then, but what I do find, and you might be able to talk to this a little bit, is often because they're obviously they're logistics, they do get a better rate for shipping than what you might get as well. So then you save a bit of money on that too. So you sort of not, it's not just a straight cost, I guess, because there are some savings in other areas.
That's a tricky one. I find that the shipping rates when I was going direct through my
Hmm.
Shopify cheaper than the 3PL. Even though they get the discount, I think they absorb it and then they add on
They
their
add
own
on,
margin.
yeah. So maybe they don't just pass it on. Yeah, that's a good point there.
But again, you think about the cost of you fulfilling the order well, where you can be investing that time into growing your business for marketing or
Mm,
actually in your business fulfilling packing orders, things like
yeah,
related.
yeah.
So
Yeah, so the cost could be in a warehouse staff or customer service person, or yeah, as you say, you get your time sucked away from the on the business stuff because you're working in it. And I think that's a bit of a transition period for a lot of people in terms of, you might be doing it initially yourself, but then you get to the point where you just can't do it yourself physically. And for you having a bigger product, it was probably like, where am I going to store this anyway? And yeah, it's just not logistically possible for you to then carry all that to deliver it or get the couriers pick up every day or whatever.
my living room was like filled with like boxes, and my husband's like, "Got to stop."
Where is the end? I can't see anything in our lounge room anymore.
So I mean, it's part of the journey, I reckon, and I'm still learning new things every day, Mel.
Yeah.
Every day there's a different challenge, so it doesn't get easier, but it's yeah, it's part of the fun, isn't it?
Yeah, part of fun. And I think I talked about it on stories the other day, about, because I'd seen your story about it. Like, you'd had a customer who was really, you obviously used to do custom, and then you stopped doing it, but then this customer was like really insistent and really, really wanted it, and you're like, okay, I'll do it for you, I'll do it for you. And just tell me a little bit about what happened there.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing and reliving the nightmare.
I know. So yeah, so basically she had contacted me a couple of times and kept asking like, oh, can you do this custom thing? Oh, again, like via email, via different avenues of getting in touch. So I said, okay, let's do it. And then we made yeah, we manufactured the piece, we sent it to the powder coaters, and that's a good part where you're still keeping in touch with your local manufacturers that they can still, do things for you. So
Yeah,
that's good
yeah.
to have a representative person. Yeah, so powder coaters, and then that gets sent to the warehouse. The warehouse packs it and then couriered out. And then the last courier bit, it got damaged when, and so she's like, "Nah, this is not what I paid for." And I was like, "Oh man!" So like, yeah, it was really painful. But I'm glad to say that the board has now found a new home from
Oh,
the
good.
they put out. And I'm like, I would love to claim that, and that will help me with my business. And I'm like so happy that it's going to a
Oh,
good home.
that's good. That's good. Yeah,
Maybe we
amazing.
can a bit later on.
That's so good. And I guess that what we talked about is it helped after I spoke to you about that. And I shared with you some of the mistakes I've made in my business, and I was like, oh, there's so many, and you do learn from them, and it is part of it, and it is normal, but it is like, what can you take from it? You are allowed to say no to customers, and I think I said that to you in terms of when I had the children's wear brand. People kept asking for us to go up in size and up in size, and we eventually did, and then it was like, went okay. Like it sold okay in our store. We had a retail store, but it just didn't, have the sales that the other range would have. And it's like, just because people say they want something doesn't mean they're actually going to buy it. And so, knowing when to go, no, this is my, range, this is what I'm going to do. I've got the numbers to know that this is probably a better decision than just doing it because some people want it. You can't please everyone, essentially, can you?
Thank you for sharing your story, because after that I felt like, oh, it happens to the best of us. Even Mel, yours was like even a bigger scale again. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We had hundreds of baby outfits. That was the other one, the onesie outfit that was too short. And so then, yeah, all of these outfits, baby onesies, I think we had 200 or something of them, just did not fit. We couldn't even size them down anyway because they didn't even fit a doll properly, but we donated them for the daycares and stuff like that so someone could use them. All right, so just going on that, so you've moved into a new country and it's allowed you to sort of still run the business. You obviously still work on the business, but you're not shipping the product, and you've got more containers. You've scaled up into the volume. I noticed on your website, I was on your Instagram, I was like, oh, I didn't, hadn't seen before these new like mirror editions. Maybe you've had them for a while but I hadn't seen them. I love that little take on, like, you've really not just created a mirror but like an add-on to the actual moody board. I love that.
Yeah, um this is something that someone taught me last year, that you should kind of go inch wide and mile deep. So like just be one thing and go really deep on that one thing. So that's what I've kind of done, is like, we're known for the moody board. People come to us to buy that particular thing. We have other things that we sell, but they
Yeah.
don't sell. So just, yeah, I've just learned that let's just make things that complement what we do well.
Mm.
Um, and for example, like we started making mouse pads, right? And they didn't. They're beautiful. I love them, but we're just not known for mouse pads.
Mm.
Oh, like wall doing that as well, but there are giants doing wall decals. So again, like just stick to your lane and yeah, inch wide, mile deep.
Mm.
Don't jack of all trades, because yeah, people forget. Like people need to know you for a particular thing, I
I
reckon.
love that. Yeah, that's really good. And I could see also you've sort of started with that. I guess the aesthetic of the really pastel and the really pretty colors. And then I saw the black one. I was like, oh, that's a new look, and I like that you've. It still sticks into who you are, but it's just giving that person who's that. And I can see boys or different, things like that having that product on there, or a really modern aesthetic. Like it's really changed that sort of look. I was like, oh, that's a good addition.
You, yeah. I mean, it's easy because like my product is really simple, right?
Mm.
But it's user how they would personalize it. So it's good in that sense that it's kind of like a blank canvas. So
Mm.
try to.
And getting for you, how do you is there a particular thing you do to generate more user generated content? Because I can see you get quite a bit of people, sharing their moody board in their home and their decor. Do you do anything in particular to encourage that?
Instagram, really, it's so powerful. Like that's how people find me. I've had a few kind of UGC creators contact me like, look, I'm planning to update my kids' room. We'll create content for you, and you Instagram is my main platform. So
Yeah.
that, that's
And then what about how you've been going with overseas? Like are you stocked in any more places, or are you in particular? I think we talked about last time, like you're in hospital or you're in hospitality. What's happened with where you're stocked or where you're selling?
yeah. So I think we haven't focused on getting into different industries. So it's
Mhm.
purely shop and sale. Um, Last time we spoke, I was getting into a marketplace in the US called
Mhm.
Dom, and I remember telling you the story that we missed out with the first time with Liberty in London, because shipping was too expensive. So I took that kind of plunge. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm just gonna go it. So we went through the whole process of like opening a company in the US, because you need that to open a bank account in the US, and then
Mm.
we or 3PL in the US. So we went through the whole process, got it set up, got products over there. unfortunately, Dormify is a marketplace, so they didn't promise
Mm.
you know well the product would sell, and they didn't really market us either on their platform. So that was a bit of a, yeah, like we sold a few, but not
Yeah.
great. If the learning from that is fine, like I can still, the product's already there. I can just find a
Mm.
different be on. We're looking at joining Wolf and Badger. So again, like at least it's
Mhm.
all so
Well, yeah, and you can also, edit your knowing that the product is there. You can have on your website have that warehouse set up, so you've got sort of two warehouse stock levels, right? And then you can do Facebook ads to particular markets that are already there as well, because you've got that product there. And I think that's where, yes, like taking something that's like, okay, well, it didn't work in that location. How do we actually get it to move in a different place or a different way? And I know that there's, few things like fair on, for wholesale, but there's also other ones in the US like Bulletin. What's the other one? There's a couple of other ones that work really well too, which that could be a good option to know that the stock's there. Or even having someone have it in a showroom in the US, that could be sort of a good starting point, because you're like, stock's there, it's ready to go. Here's how you get it. Yeah, definitely run Facebook ads. How's it looking at Naomi has done that, and that's the thing. Like, you can really target that, and if you've got it, your marketplace is set up on your, which is, this might not be for you necessarily, but anyone else listening, if you got on your, if you have Shopify, if you go into your settings, you go into your markets, making sure that your prices are set for that market. So if if the IP address is in the US, they're only going to see the US pricing. And I would always ideally sort of set it up so you have a bit more margin in it. I love that anyway. But let's say that it would be a natural conversion to 100. Or let's say if it was 100 Australian dollars and it converted to 65 probably US right now, but you might put that at 85 US. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could put a little bit extra in there because they're only seeing, each region is only seeing what their marketplace sets, if that makes sense. Yeah, you might have already done that anyway, but I think it just means that if you have got stock there, you can get it there fast, and making that obvious would be good.
amazing. I'm gonna do those ads now.
Straight away, let's do it. Yeah, but it is, you can. And there you go. Naomi's, we can increase by 45% in Shopify, and I think that's where as well for anyone in Australia. I know you're Australian business, you're not in here Australia at the moment, but even if it's not right now, for future, you can use this for all your export development grant stuff too, like money spent on advertising or getting your warehouse set up, costs to do your company. All those things are exporting costs, and they can be claimed through the export development grant when it's on, because it's not always on, but you can do that. So that's really useful for anyone who's listening. It's like, oh, how do I afford to export? That's one of the things you can do.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
look at that export grant this year, but they're not running it this year.
No,
So
I think they've run out of they sort of do it, and then they're like, oh, okay, we've got enough now, because I've told so many people about it too, because I share it all the time, as you know. But definitely keep that in mind, yeah, for future. And then obviously it is any tax deduction as well, so that's always good.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and so that's super exciting. And with your on your business, so you're obviously got time now that you're set up over there. You're still being able to be flexible, which is nice in your business as well. Is there any particular thing you're working on right now? What's happening?
so still on the same vein as Inchwhite Maldives.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I am doing a different shape for the moody board. It's about time. It's been like ages now, and I haven't.
yeah.
I've been guilty.
You were talking about that, I think, last time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's finally happening now. So the sampling is happening. So we'll have a new shape and a new design. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. And when you just in volume, because you talked about doing the shipping container. So what sort of volume, if you don't mind sharing, like how many units would you order when you do order an order right now of the moody boards? Just to give other people sort of an idea of, what sort of how you've gotten to what point.
Yeah. So the moody board is quite large. So I 20-foot container at a time. and that fits about 600 units.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
600
Yep.
units lasts around 2 to 3 months for me. Another
Mm-hmm.
struggling with right now is understanding the cycles of like when to order. So
Mm,
I sell out within 2 to 3 months, and then to make a product kind of takes that much time too. So
mm.
as soon as I realize now in the third cycle, like as soon as my stock arrives, I need to place an order for the next cycle, which is
Yeah. It is. It's that critical path. So having that mapped out of what stock levels you need when, and then having your year go, well, this is the time frame to approve samples, say for example, in this month, and these are the stages of, production and so on. And if delivery's here, and then the cycle starts again on your critical path, you've got that idea of when you need stock. So I always sort of used to say with retail and or wholesale, and or online e-commerce, let's say that you wanted to do $15,000 on your website in a month, you really need at least 45,000 because you're not going to sell out every single product. I mean, clearly it depends on your product range and your mix and so on, but especially for retail stores, you need at least 2 to 3 times what you want to achieve in your sales. If you want 15,000 in sales, you really need to have 45,000. You need at least 2 to 3 months worth of stock all the time. And that's just a general number, but then you need to go, well, when it gets down to this level, that's my reorder trigger.
yeah, it's so
Yeah,
hard. Like
it is.
like
Because you might not need all the colors, but you need to do a whole order. You might not need, you might not need all the sizes, but it's like, okay, well, the container's got to be full. It obviously doesn't have to be, but it makes sense to have a full container. So yeah, all those things. I mean, that's I guess the scaling part of your business, that as you grow, it's like, okay, we're getting better at all those things to manage your cash flow, manage your stock levels. But this is where, as well, by you're adding more products, but you're not adding a crazy amount of depth in your products, and which is good. You're just, as you say, going narrow in what your product mix is. It means you've got more room to refine those other things, and you're not just creating products all the time, all the time, all the time. Yeah. So that's a smart business decision. I like it.
Mel, can you please do a course on like forecasting cycle there?
I know. And it's one of those things that you sort of forget that too, because I think for me, I've been in fashion, which is a big, there's a real critical path required for fashion, because if you get the timelines wrong, then everything's wrong. Like, it's really, you have to be very specific. And I worked in manufacturing and production. That was my role in the business as well. And then also worked with handbags, and that was a big production. Like, we had, I think we used to do like maybe 50 different new SKUs every season. So there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts. And then all the different types of businesses and having the retail store, like, you really do need to, it's the planning side of stuff that does, you got to get your head around it. And the buy, oh yeah, there's a whole lot there. But yes, I love it. I have to do a whole thing on it. I know in the roadmap program I'm adding in for the retail stores especially as well, that how to budget and plan and understand the sales in categories. And this is definitely a big thing for a lot of stores, that they don't, well, yeah, not everyone understands that breakdown. I'm sure you do, because you've got a smaller range, which is good. But for you, it'd be really important to, and this comes back to if you use Shopify, which I know you do, putting in your product in the right way so that you can get better reporting. So essentially, whenever you put your products in, make sure you tag. And I think I've done this in the program, but I need to do it again in the roadmap, and I'll share that when I do. Excuse me. But when you load your products up, making sure that you tag them in the right way to allow you to get the reporting at the end. So let's say that you want to know, you might classify your products as what color they are, and you're going to put what shape they are, because you're going to have other shapes come in. Then you're also going to want to maybe know if, say, pastels sell better than a dark color, or so what do you want to get a report on later? That should be what your products are tagged as well. Because for you've got less range, but you've got within your moody board, you can still get lots of, different. I can't even think of the word that it's. The word is attributes. That's the word. See, I knew it would come there. What attributes do you want to report on? Those are the attributes that you want to put in your tag in to be able to get that information. Mm.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So I think it's just about, these are the things as you scale or as you grow, you're like, okay, I need to look at that more and understand that more to be able to make better decisions about my buying and to have the right stock at the right time, because that's a big factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I've spoken way too much. What else, Joey? What else can you share?
Gosh, what else? I think just like for the past year, just learning to just get out of your comfort zone, I'd say, right?
Mm. Yeah. Okay, that's good. What does that look like for you?
Just not being afraid to just okay, just jumping live like this is
Yeah.
I a natural speaker in any way, but I've just kind of put my BS aside and I'm like, look, nobody cares.
No one
You're
cares.
it's just get over yourself and like share
Yeah.
some add value. So yeah, I think
Mm.
getting getting there.
That's good. And that's what, as you said, like the story you shared the other day, that started a conversation between us. It helped me share something else. You actually then sold the board. It's told people a little bit more about how your process works. So you've got, that getting uncomfortable with what's going on in the business, but sharing a little bit of behind the scenes has helped people understand what you do more.
Yeah. And it also like humanizes the brand a little bit because
Mm.
people, I think people have moved away from like pretty pictures and I think they just want to see a person behind the brand and just
Yeah.
relate.
Yeah, and understand your passion behind it and your why behind it. I think that's really important. Yeah. So amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me yet again. That's been very exciting. And everyone should go and listen to the podcast that I shared. I think I dropped it on Saturday. I was a bit late because I was doing my webinar, which again, in the podcast replay, I talked about that I didn't press record and I did it again on Friday. So it was like this whole year repeated. It was just weird. I was like, how is this possible? But there is a replay of that. But yeah, the podcast, Joey and I shared a little bit more, and it was, yeah, great insight. So yeah, thank you again for sharing, and I'm excited to see what's happening with the business and follow along. And yeah, we'll see you in thank you. Yeah, thanks. Sorry, Naomi's just saying thank you. Yes, I look forward to sharing more with what's going on with you, and if follow along your journey.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me and thanks for doing what you I
Thank
learned so
you so much.
much.
Thank you, Joey. All right. All right. We'll speak to you all soon. Thank you. Bye.